Number 9. The Protected Killer. Let's start with one of the most shocking witness protection failures in American history. A case where the program was meant to protect a witness unleashed a serial killer on innocent families. Mario Pruitt was serving time in prison when he witnessed his cellmate being brutally murdered. Prison officials knew this was their chance to solve the case, so they offered Pruitt a deal. Testify about what you saw, and we'll put you in witness protection with a new identity when you are released. Pruitt agreed and entered the federal witness protection program under the new identity of Charles Sonny Pearson. The U.S. Marshals gave him everything: a new name, a new background, financial support, and a fresh start in a quiet community where no one knew his violent past. But instead of starting over, Pruitt went on a killing spree that horrified the nation. Under his protected identity, he murdered his own wife in cold blood. Then he robbed multiple banks across several states. During one robbery, he executed a bank officer who tried to stop him. He didn't stop there. Pruitt murdered 3 convenience store clerks in separate incidents, leaving behind devastated families who never saw it coming. The witness protection program had essentially given a psychopath the perfect cover to become a serial killer. By the time they realized what was happening, 5 innocent people were dead. Number 8. The Slaughter. Number 8 brings us to Mexico's witness protection program, a system so broken it became a death sentence. Between 2009 and 2012, Mexico's witness protection program wasn't protecting anyone. It was marking them for execution. At its peak, 379 people were enrolled, each receiving 26,000 pesos monthly and thinking they were safe from cartel retaliation. What they did not know is that the Sinaloa cartel had completely infiltrated Mexico's witness protection program from the inside. Every time someone entered protection, the cartel knew exactly where they were going. The slaughter was terrifying and brutal. In just 2 weeks during 2009, multiple protected witnesses were hunted down and executed in coordinated hits. One witness would be found shot in his safe apartment. Another would disappear from a secure location, only to turn up days later, tortured and dismembered. Mexican government officials were essentially handing over hit lists to the very criminals they were supposed to be fighting. By 2018, the program had collapsed entirely. Of those original 379 protected witnesses, only 11 remained alive and in the system. The other 368? Dead, missing, or fled to other countries in terror. Number 7. Vicky and Pru. Coming in at number 7 is a protection program that seemed solid on paper, but for Vicky Jacobs and Pru Bird, that paper might as well have been their death certificates. Both women were key witnesses in major criminal cases, and both thought they were safe under Australia's protection system. Vicky Jacobs was a witness in a violent crime case. She'd seen something she shouldn't have, and the people involved wanted her silenced permanently. Australian authorities moved her to what they called a secure location and gave her a new identity. She followed every rule and trusted the system completely. Pru Bird was in a similar situation, another witness who was promised safety and a new life away from danger. Both women believed the government when it said protection meant protection. But here's the deadly problem. Australia's witness protection was run like an amateur operation. The system lacked coordination, and this meant that dangerous criminals could piece together information from different sources. A name here, an address there, a witness statement from another agency. Suddenly, these protected witnesses weren't protected at all. Both Vicky Jacobs and Pru Bird were murdered as a direct result of their testimony. Number 6. Starbucks Execution. Up next is Edgar Enrique Bayardo del Villar, who thought his morning coffee would be just another routine day in witness protection, but he was dead wrong. Literally. Bayardo was a former chief of Mexico's federal police who knew too much about corruption at the highest levels. When he agreed to testify against the Sinaloa cartel and corrupt officials, the government gave him witness protection, a new identity as Tigre, and a monthly salary of 50,000 pesos. On December 2, 2009, Bayardo was having coffee at a Starbucks in Mexico City's Del Valle district. It seemed like a safe, public place. Who would dare execute someone in broad daylight at one of the busiest coffee shops in the city? The Sinaloa cartel, that's who. 2 assassins in business suits walked calmly into the Starbucks like they were ordering lattes. Then one of the men pulled out an automatic weapon and opened fire. Bayardo was shot multiple times in front of dozens of horrified witnesses. His bodyguard was critically wounded, but survived. Bayardo's murder proved that witness protection meant nothing when the entire system was compromised. But Mexico wasn't the only place where witnesses discovered that protection programs could be infiltrated by the very criminals they were hiding from. Number 5. Fatal failure. At number 5, we have what was supposed to be the success story that proved witness protection worked, but instead became the first case of a protected witness dying. Barboza was one of America's most feared hitmen before he decided to flip sides. When he agreed to testify against the Patriarca crime family in 1976, he became the very first person ever enrolled in the federal witness protection program. Barboza had information that could destroy entire crime families, and the FBI was determined to keep him alive. They relocated him to California with a completely new identity. The FBI thought they'd created the perfect protection system, but despite all the protection and the new identity they gave him, Barboza was tracked down and shot dead in San Francisco. The mob had found him, and they executed him like they'd promised they would. But maybe Barboza met an end that he deserved, because investigations later revealed that he framed an innocent man in one of his testimonies. Number 4. Suspicious suicide. At number 4, we have Jesus Zambada Reyes, who was supposed to be safe in Mexico's witness protection program. Instead, he became part of what looked like a campaign to eliminate protected witnesses one by one. Zambada had valuable information about the Sinaloa cartel. When he agreed to cooperate with authorities, he thought witness protection would keep him alive long enough to testify. But he was wrong. On November 21, 2009, the news broke out that Zambada had committed suicide while under government protection. But no one needed a soothsayer to know that the timing was incredibly suspicious, as his death happened exactly when he was about to give crucial testimony that would have destroyed the criminal he was testifying against. Number 3. $1 million failure. At number 3, we have Maria de Lourdes Maldonado Lopez, who thought she had the best protection money could buy. Mexico's protection mechanism for human rights defenders and journalists costs $23 million annually and promises to keep threatened reporters safe. Maldonado Lopez was a veteran broadcast journalist in Tijuana who had spent years investigating corruption and organized crime. Her car had been attacked twice. She had received explicit death threats, telling her she would be hunted down no matter where she hid. So she applied for Mexico's expensive protection program and was accepted. The government gave her bodyguards, bulletproof vests, panic buttons, and surveillance cameras. She had everything the $23 million program could provide, but on January 23, 2022, she was shot dead in broad daylight. All that money, all that protection, all those resources, and she was still murdered like any other victim. Her colleague, Alfonso Margarito Martinez Esquivel, a freelance photographer also applying for protection, was killed around the same time. Number 2. Airport assassination. Next is Vinicius Gritzbach, who thought Sao Paulo's international airport was the safest place he could be. After all, he was under Brazil's Provita witness protection program, escorted by military police at the country's busiest and most secure airport. Sadly, this safe place became his murder scene. Gritzbach was a former real estate agent turned police informant with ties to the First Capital Command, Brazil's most powerful criminal organization. His information was helping authorities crack how the PCC operated, which made him a prime target. On November 8, 2024, Gritzbach was leaving the airport with his military escort when gunmen opened fire. The attack happened in front of dozens of witnesses, security cameras, and armed guards. The assassin knew exactly when Gritzbach would be there, which exit he'd use, and when his security would be vulnerable. Someone inside the protection program had given the killers a complete blueprint for the hit. But sometimes the deadliest failures weren't dramatic assassinations or public executions. Sometimes they were quiet betrayals that lasted for months. Number 1. The 90-day death sentence. Finally, we have Nancy Berdell, who discovered the most terrifying truth about witness protection. Sometimes the government's promise of safety comes with an expiration date. Berdell was a key witness in a murder case against her neighbor, who had shot her and killed both her son and her boyfriend. She had survived the attack and agreed to testify, knowing that her testimony could put a killer behind bars. The authorities promised her witness protection. They said they would keep her safe during the trial and afterward. But here's what they didn't tell her. Their protection was temporary. The witness protection program moved Berdell to what they called a safer location. Then, they ended her protection exactly 3 months after the criminal was sentenced. 90 days. That's how long the government thought a murder witness needed protection from retaliation. As if killers operated on government schedules. As if the killers had been waiting for the government, they struck and shot her immediately after the protection ended, making it one of the most heartbreaking witness protection fails in history. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and check out the channel for more videos that will blow your mind.